am I supposed to find that strength? The answer in Surah Al-Kahf is in times of fitna, hold on to this book. Hold on tight to this book because it will give you confidence. It will give you strength. And while everyone else is deviating, you can stand straight. قَيِّمًا لِيُنذِرَ بَأْسًا شَدِيدًا مِنْ لَدُنْهُ. That is the relationship you and I have to have with this book. Now, what do you have to complain about when Allah has handed this Quran to you? Why do you feel depressed? What reason do you have to complain that Allah is not there for you? If you say Allah is not there for you, maybe you didn't look at the shelf in your home collecting dust that has the Mus'haf sitting there, testifying against you. This is the book we must go back to. And so now let's turn to the people of the book. And in my limited time, I have to be selective in what lessons I'd like to highlight, especially for the young audience here. But actually the lessons in the surah are timeless. They really are timeless. The first thing I want to share with you is that Allah went out of His way. He went out of His way to say, إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ. They are no doubt young people. They are young people. آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ. That believed in their master. Allah highlights their youth. This is important because young people, today when we talk about youth, we talk about the problem segment of our society. The youth are doing drugs. The youth are into filth on the internet. Let me tell you something. In this time of trial, the only people standing up for the truth, the only people with the spine and the courage to not care what anybody else thought, and they're going to stand tall by Allah, were the youth. Our miracle is that when the world will be sleeping, we'll be the only ones awake. Our miracle is going to be the one where the world is lost in ghafla. The whole world is lost in ghafla. And the only ones awake are the young people. And when these same young people, all they can care about is how many likes on their stupid joke did they get? How many LOLs did they receive? When they keep taking 8 different selfie angles and then fixing the color correction and learning the photo, changing all of that and then posting it, just felt like taking a selfie out of the blue. When you're so lost inside of yourself, when this device is basically your soul, when that's what's happened to you, then you're a lost cause. The enemy of Islam doesn't have to come and destroy you. He already did. You're already done. You've already been cooked. You guys, you have to transcend image. You have to get beyond, social pressure. You have to get beyond what people think of you on campus if you're wearing a hijab. Instead of you feeling sorry that you're wearing hijab and they look down on you, you should feel sorry for them that Allah did not crown their heads with guidance. That's what you should be thinking. You young men over here, instead of worrying about, man, these guys get to eat what they want, do what they want, drink what they want, you should feel sorry for them that Allah dignified you as a human being and kept you away from living an animal existence, pretending to be human. Rizq comes from Allah Azza wa Jal. All life that we have around us is being delivered to us by this beautiful breeze that we feel on our face. That's the means by which Allah is delivering the life on this earth. We are reminded of how the rizq of Allah and how all these creations of Allah, the trees, the sky, the earth, the clouds, they're all working in cooperation with each other so I can drink and I can eat. What kind of master is this that's controlling all of these things so I can drink and I can eat? What the Quran does in these ayat is, one of its miracles is that a believer in the Quran can no longer look at nature like anybody else looks at nature. The wind becomes a khutbah. The wind becomes a reminder that Allah has the power to destroy. It's a change of perspective. That's why I keep reiterating without getting tired of it, saying our religion, most of it is attitude. It's a way of looking at things. Allah is transforming the way we look at nature, the way we look at each other, the way we look at society, the way we look at history, the way we look at the future. Everything is transformed by the lens of the Quran. And somebody internalizing this, they have a different personality. But you know what? Just because we're going through a dars of this right now, doesn't mean every time you feel the wind, you're going to think that. It doesn't. You know what that needs? It needs reminder. That's why reminder is there. So it reinforces that way of thinking. So that reflection is constant. Every time Quran makes reference to, things in creation, it's supposed to bring you back to something in Revelation. Revelation makes you think about creation. Creation is supposed to make you think about Revelation. Revelation is called ayat. Creation are called ayat. These ayat in the book remind you of those ayat. Those ayat remind you of these ayat. You're constantly around ayat, and ayat are a means of reminder. You're constantly surrounded by reminders. There's no excuse. There's no one that can say if they understand this, there's no reminder around me. There's plenty of reminders around us. There's no shortage. إِنَّمَا تُوعَدُونَ لَوَاقِعٌ is jawabul qasam. If you've thought enough about the winds, then realize whatever you have been promised. And then Allah says, مَا تُوعَدُونَ, which is the day of judgment, hellfire, the destruction of the nation, the power of Allah, the coming of the akhirah, the questioning, the interrogation. There are so many promises that have been made, all of them summed up in one. If you reflect on the winds, the conclusion you should reach is, no doubt about it, whatever you've been promised is bound to occur. It's going to drop. It's going to happen. لَوَاقِعٌ. And then once it does happen, فَإِذَا النُّجُومُ طُمِسَتْ. Then when the stars are, طَمَسَ is actually maha, to erase. طُمِسَتْ, when the stars are erased, you can't even find them anymore. وَالسَّمَاءُ فُرِجَتْ. And the sky is torn open. Farj, this is not fajr, it's farj. Faraja, to rip, to tear. وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ نُسِفَتْ. Oh man. When the mountains are plucked. So Allah says, make a serious decision. We have to change the course of life for ourselves and our families. We have to give it some really serious thought. Really, really serious thought. And this is the kind of conversation that husband and wife are supposed to have. That love they have for each other should be so strong that they don't want to see each other in pain in akhirah. Or their children. So they sit there and they make plans for how to keep their children safe. If you've bought your house a security system, if you lock the door every time, if you don't let the kids go in the backyard because there's a swimming pool there, you want to save your children, don't go near the kitchen because there's a big knife there. You don't leave tools out because this baby might eat this or that. We have this urge to protect our children. A believer says, I want to protect my children in dunya and in akhirah. It takes precaution. Just like in dunya, we take precautions. عَسَى رَبُّكُمْ أَن يُكَفِّرَ عَنْكُمْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ وَيُدْخِلَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ. And He'll enter you, in that case, perhaps He might enter you into gardens at the bottoms of which rivers flow. يَوْمَ لَا يُخْزِي اللَّهُ النَّبِيَّ, the day on which Allah will not be humiliating His Prophet. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ, nor those who believed with Him. The word ma'iyah is used here, very powerful. It's not just وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, it's وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. That's a big qualification. There are a lot of people who claim to believe, but those who believe and then stick it out with the Prophet ﷺ, they're with him in his cause, in his mission, in his instructions, in his loyalty. They're ma'ahu. This ma'iyah differentiates them from others. Surah Al-Hadid told us there are some with him and some not with him. And there's a wall drop between them. Remember that? That's why the ma'a is important here. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. And then the same thing that was mentioned in Surah Al-Hadid. نُورُهُمْ يَسْعَى بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ. Their light will extend from in front of them and on their right. Remember we explained this in Surah Hadid? But the difference here is there was a comparison made between the hypocrites and the believers. Here, something else has been added. Those who are on the good side of this wall are with the Prophet ﷺ. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. They're with him. His ma'iyah is mentioned. So there Allah highlighted what happens on the wrong side of the wall. Here Allah highlights more in detail what happens on the right side of the wall. And as these people are going, there, even when they spoke, the believers, when they spoke, they turned back and they said, yeah, you were with us in dunya, وَلَكِنَّكُمْ تَرَبَّصْتُمْ وَفَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ وَغَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِي حَتَّى جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ وَغَرَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. They told them how the hypocrites have failed. This time, they're not talking even to the hypocrites, they're thinking ahead. They've saved themselves successfully, but they haven't made it to Jannah yet, so now they're turning to Allah. So you and I are walking one day, the light is coming from our chest, and our right hand, the Prophet ﷺ said, some Sahaba and some believers will be such, their light will be so strong, it'll light up from Medina to Sana'a in Yemen. Imagine that kind of light, stadium lights where they spend millions of dollars, is like 10 miles. 10, 12 miles, you can see there's a stadium there. Right?
How is a light going from one city to another? It's lighting up from one city in one country to another, coming out of a believer. And there are others who the only thing they can see is their feet in front of them. That's all they could see. So they have to watch every step. Literally every step. I don't know what I'm stepping in. I don't know if there's something there or not for me to step. SubhanAllah.